Hi, Mark here, trust you well. You join me on one of my photography adventures. And if you'd like to know more about that, mynexttrip.co.uk, link in the description. I did a few years ago when Nikon launched the Z Series, a video about GPS, how we could use GPS within our camera and the different options at that time. But obviously cameras have been replaced or new cameras brought to market. So I thought I would do an update. If you'd like to go to that video first, if you haven't seen it already, links in the description. Please bear in mind it's a couple of years out of date. I think I did it about 4 years ago, something like that. So where do we stand today with Nikon Z Series and GPS? So let's start with Z9. Has GPS and GPX built in. You just need to turn the functionality on. What is the difference between GPS and GPX? GPS is your single location. So you take a photograph, click, into the file is your longitude, latitude, your height of the image, also date and time stamp. The date and time is taken from the satellite if you turn that on. So if you are, let's say, in America and you travel from east to west, the coasts a lot, you do not need to update your timestamp in that camera. Same if you travel around Europe. If you set your time via satellite positioning, you don't need to update your date. So that's the easy one, GPS. Now GPX is a log, it's a track. And what that does is you turn that on and it tracks you at the frequency as you're walking around perhaps landscape or a motor circuit. Where were you at such time? And you can export that GPX data and overlay it on a map, for example, which I do quite regularly. So that's the Z9. The rest of the Z series cameras are different. So let's start at the bottom upwards. The 30, 50 Zfc does not support GPS via a GP global positioning piece of hardware. So in this case, the GP1A. Okay. However, it does support via the SnapBridge app. The negativity of that is you're using your battery on your camera and on your device, your phone, whatever, and you go click, it syncs the GPS data from the device, iPhone for example, to your camera using the SnapBridge app. So the weakness of that is wake up time and battery consumption. But you can have GPS from your phone. The Z5 used to support, at time of launch, the original Z5 in the original firmware, GPS. However, in a firmware update, they removed that functionality. It was not supposed to have GPS. They missed it and it was removed. The 6 and the 7 and the 8 all support GPS via a third-party piece of hardware. And the reason why I say third-party is that Nikon no longer makes the GP1 and GP1A. What's the difference? I think it's hardware inside, a bit faster chip, that type of thing. So they no longer manufacture that since, I think it was the late 90s. If you want a GP unit, a Nikon GP1 or a GP1A unit, I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. It's a used marketplace, so Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or you might find your local camera store's got one on the shelf. When they came out, they were around about $150. My last one I purchased, because I'm sorry, I've got several in my photography cabinet, got about 4 I think now. I collect them over time because they're no longer made, was $200. So it's a product that you really need to identify, do you want? So for the Z6, 7, Z6II, Z7 II, you can use the small cable and it works perfectly fine. The Z8, you have to use the 12-pin cable which goes in the front. You can buy the cables separately. They're around about $50. I would recommend you buy a genuine Nikon one. I've tried the third parties and they break very, very quickly. On the subject of breakages, don't put it in your bag attached. That's a weak point there, and what you do is you put pressure on the cable and it breaks the circuit board. It's about $300 to repair that. So when you put this away, doesn't matter if it's on a Peak Design clip or on a shoulder strap, unplug it. Just literally pull it out of the socket and put it in your bag, and then it just slides straight back in again. So Z6III, this is a Nikon Z6III, just looking for the number for you, where they put it. Oh, there it is, it's up the top. Oh yeah, Z6III. I've only had it 4 weeks or so. I was looking down the bottom for it there. Yes, it is supporting the GPS with GP1. This is a GP1A. So for all those that have asked me in the other video, yes, the GP1, the GP1A is supported just like the Z6, the Z7, the Z8. The originals and the 2s. So hopefully that gives you answers. I'm going to give you some tips now, if I may, which are in the original video. If you're on a budget and the $200 is, you can't justify it, and a lot of people can't justify the cost for that $200. Take your photograph, take your camera, your phone out your pocket, just take another picture, making sure GPS is turned on your camera, on your phone, sorry. So you've got 2 virtually same pictures, and just sync in your metadata, your EXIF metadata, the GPS coordinates. That's the cheapest way of doing it. There are apps out there that will record by your phone at a frequency interval your GPX data. So the one I use is Geotag Photo 2. It's around about $10 for life. And you can set the frequency to as low as 5 seconds. So as you're walking along a trail, as you're photographing this landscape, every 5 seconds it records my GPS data and puts it into a GPX file. The paid version gives you lots of benefits. The free version may only allow you every 20 minutes to record your data. Well, you can walk a long way in 20 minutes and your GPS and GPX data will be, not the same. The paid version allows you, as soon as you finish your route, you go finish, it can upload it, subject to internet connection, to Dropbox. Therefore, it's very easy to sync that data in your post-processing software. So in Lightroom Classic, for example, you go to the map module, you import that tracking log, you automatically sync it, and the camera, and this is for all brands, not just Nikon, the camera will look at, or the software will look at the time of the shot in the camera, so the file time, we'll look at the GPX logs, and we'll find the similar times, the closest time. So you have a frequency of 5 seconds, you're going to be very, very close to the time that you press your shutter button. And then the software marries the GPS from the GPX log to the time of the image, and it will associate that GPX, and if you have that setting turned on in Lightroom, it will look up the address as well. Okay, so your address location will be populated from that GPX. Okay, and obviously if you don't want to share that data when you export the file along with your metadata and edits, you in the export menu you tick do not export location. So here we are in one of the display modes. We have the symbol there for the satellite. I go up one in these settings and there's all the GPS coordinates and the date and time from altitude, latitude and longitude and my local time. When the symbol is green at the top, or the LED is green at the top on the unit, it means it's locked onto 3 satellites. I'm now in the spanner setup menu and we scroll down towards the bottom. It's got location data. If I come across, we can now see if it's standby, timer is on, set clock by satellite, which is on, and then we have our positioning. So there's the position where I currently am at the moment. So you can view that if you wish, but you can turn off the clock settings if for some reason you want to keep your time all the same, and you can have it on when it's in standby or not at all when your camera's in standby. So that's your menu settings. So there you go. Z6III does support the Nikon GP1 and GP1A just like the Z6, 7 and 8s does. The unit is now around about $150 to $200. Please again remove the cable when you put it in your bag. I've broken one of my circuits boards, had to send it back to Nikon UK, and I've heard of other photography friends that have come on my events have also broken it because they've just put it in the bag and bent the cable. So what else can I help you with? Do you use a cable release? Well, the DC, was it DC2? Yes, DC2, MC DC2, little cable release, which is where the GPS goes into. There is an extra port here on the right hand side as you're looking into the camera, and that cable goes there. So you can still use a cable release if you don't use the delay functionality in shutter once you press your shutter button. So if you want to use a cable, you can still use it with a GPS. So in the description is a link to the original video telling you all tips and tricks. This is an update. Z6, Z7, Z8 versions 1, 2 and 3 as of October 2024 still supports the GP1 and GP1A from Nikon. Other transponders or receivers are available, but I don't have any experience of those. I hope that helps. If you've got a question, please leave it in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I can, but please bear in mind I'm an academic. I'm on location a lot, so it may take a week or so to get back to you. Stay safe, take care, bye for now.